Admiral Hyun-ki stood on the bridge of Kepler Station, watching the stars through the massive viewport. The station hung in space like a steel flower, its arms reaching out toward distant worlds. For 3 years he had commanded this outpost at the edge of human space. It was peaceful work mostly. His ships explored new systems and made contact with alien traders. Nothing prepared him for what was coming. The communication officer, Lieutenant Young-soo, turned from his console with a worried look. "Admiral, we have an incoming message. It's from the Keth Coalition." Hyun-ki nodded. He knew about the Keth Coalition. 7 alien species that controlled most of the Outer Rim. They were old, powerful, and they looked down on younger races like humans. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life. A massive reptilian face appeared, covered in dark green scales. Yellow eyes stared at Hyun-ki with obvious disgust. This was Zethmor, one of the Scarix warriors who served as the Coalition's messengers. Human. Zethmor's voice was like gravel in a metal pipe. "I bring words from the Supreme War Council of the Keth Coalition." "Listen well, Softskin." Hyun-ki kept his face calm, but his hands tightened behind his back. The bridge crew went silent. "Your species has spread too far from your dirt ball," Zethmor continued. "You send your weak ships into systems that belong to your betters. This ends now." The alien leaned forward, showing rows of sharp teeth. "The Supreme War Council gives you 30 of your standard days. Remove all human presence from systems beyond your soul. Take your colonies, your ships, your pathetic little stations. Run back to your homeworld where you belong." Dr. Yoonbi, the station's chief scientist, stepped closer to Hyun-ki. She was small and quiet, but her mind was sharp as a blade. She had spent years studying alien cultures and languages. Her face was pale as she listened. "If you refuse," Zethmor's voice got louder, "the Coalition will erase every human from the galaxy. We have done this before to other weak races. We will do it again. You barely learned to leave your planet. You think you can fight species that ruled the stars when your world was still covered in ice?" The alien laughed, a horrible sound like breaking glass. 30 days, humans. Count them well. After that, we show you what real power looks like." The screen went black. The bridge stayed quiet for a long moment. Then Lieutenant Young-soo spoke up. "Admiral, should I send this to Earth Command?" "Yes," Hyun-ki said. "Priority 1. Full recording." As Young-soo worked at his console, Dr. Yoonbi moved to Hyun-ki's side. "Admiral, I need to analyze their fleet data. If they're serious about this threat—" "They are," Hyun-ki said. "I could see it in that creature's eyes. They think we're insects to be stepped on." Captain Taemin entered the bridge from the hangar bay. He was young for a captain, but he flew the experimental stealth ship Silent Thunder better than anyone else in the fleet. His uniform still smelled like engine fuel. "What's happening?" Taemin asked, looking at the worried faces around him. "War," Hyun-ki said simply. "The Keth Coalition just gave us 30 days to abandon everything beyond Earth's solar system." Taemin's eyes went wide. "All of it? The colonies, the mining stations, everything?" "Everything," Dr. Yoonbi confirmed. "And if we refuse, they promise to wipe out our entire species." "Can they do it?" Taemin asked. Dr. Yoonbi pulled up data on her tablet. "Their coalition has 7 species. The Scarix, like that messenger, are warriors. The Keth themselves are the leaders, very old and very smart. The Zoran have the best ships. The Thek control most of the trade routes. Together they have thousands of ships and control over 40 star systems." "How many do we have?" Young-soo asked from his station. "In this sector, maybe 200 ships, counting everything from fighters to cargo haulers," Hyun-ki said. "Earth has more, but not enough to fight the entire coalition. So what do we do?" Taemin asked. Before anyone could answer, another message came through from Earth Command. Admiral Kim Dae-ho appeared on the screen. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was steady. "All station commanders, this is Admiral Kim. By now you've received the Coalition's ultimatum. I want you to know that Earth Command has reviewed their demands." He paused, looking directly at the camera. "Our response is simple. We decline." Hyun-ki felt his heart skip. "Admiral Kim, with respect, they have us outnumbered 10 to 1. Kim's face didn't change. "Numbers aren't everything, Hyun-ki. The Coalition thinks they know humans. They think we're soft because we prefer peace. They think we're weak because we trade instead of conquer. They're about to learn how wrong they are." "What are your orders, sir?" Hyun-ki asked. "Begin Operation Quiet Storm." "Dr. Yoonbi, I need everything you know about Coalition military structure. Captain Taemin, prep your ship for deep reconnaissance. We need to know where their fleets are and how they move." Yes, sir, both officers said. Kim continued. The coalition gave us 30 days. We're going to use every hour. They think this is about territory. They're wrong. When you threaten to wipe out humanity, it becomes about survival, and humans are very good at surviving. The transmission ended. The bridge crew looked at each other with mixed feelings. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. Taemin looked excited. Admiral, Dr. Yunbi said quietly, I've been studying their message. There's something important. The way Zethmore spoke, the words he used. The coalition has never fought a war like humans fight wars. What do you mean? Hyunki asked. Their battles are formal, honor-based. They have rules about how wars should be fought. When they conquer other species, those species either surrender quickly or fight the same way the coalition fights. Stand-up battles between fleets, formal challenges, military targets only. And humans don't fight that way? Young-Soo asked. Dr. Yunbi shook her head. Humans fight to win. We use every advantage we can find. We attack supply lines. We use tricks and traps. We fight dirty when we have to. The coalition has never faced an enemy that doesn't follow their rules. Taemin grinned. So they think this will be like their other wars. Formal fleet battles until one side surrenders. Exactly, Dr. Yunbi said. They don't know what they just started. Over the next few hours, reports came in from across human space. Other stations had received similar messages. Colony governors reported coalition ships watching their worlds from a distance. Trade routes were being monitored. The coalition was preparing for what they thought would be a quick war, but on Earth, different preparations were beginning. Secret orders went out to special units. Sleeper ships that looked like cargo haulers started leaving port with mysterious destinations. Research facilities that hadn't been active for years suddenly came back to life. Late that night, Hyunki stood alone on the observation deck. Dr. Yunbi found him there, looking out at the stars. Can't sleep either? She asked. I keep thinking about what that alien said, that they've done this before to other weak races. I know, Yunbi said. I've been researching. In the last 500 years, the coalition has destroyed 12 different species that refuse to submit. Complete extinction. No survivors. And they think we'll be number 13. They do, she said, but they don't understand humans. They see our colonies and think we're spread thin. They see our peaceful exploration ships and think we're weak. They don't know about the sleeping giant they just woke up. Hyunki looked at her. You really think we can win this? Dr. Yunbi was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. Admiral, they just declared war on a species that spent most of its history trying to kill itself. We've had wars that lasted decades. We've built weapons that could destroy our own planet. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and disasters that would have ended most species. She pointed toward Earth, invisible in the distance. Every human alive today is descended from survivors. And now the coalition wants to test us. They're about to learn why that was the biggest mistake they ever made. 29 days and counting. General So Young sat in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface. The room had no windows, only screens showing star maps and fleet positions. She had been in charge of Earth's military for 8 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Around the table sat the most dangerous humans in the galaxy, though the aliens didn't know it yet. 25 days left, said Commander Junho. He was a small man with quiet eyes, but he commanded Earth's Special Operations Forces, the kind of soldiers who could slip into enemy territory and disappear like ghosts. The coalition thinks we're panicking. Good, So Young said. Let them think that. What's the status on the withdrawal? Colonel Sang-woo pulled up a hologram showing human space. Red dots marked coalition observation ships watching human colonies. All colonies are broadcasting evacuation orders. Civilian ships are leaving the outer systems. Military vessels are pulling back toward Earth. The coalition must be celebrating, Lieutenant Haewon said from her position at the cyber warfare station. She was only 23, but she could break into any computer system in known space. Their intelligence reports show humans running scared. So Young smiled. It was not a kind smile. Perfect. Junho, how many ghost ships do we have in position? 47 sleeper vessels made it through coalition space, Junho reported. They look like refugee ships or cargo haulers. The coalition doesn't even scan them anymore. Our people are in position on 12 coalition worlds. Excellent. Haewon, what about their communication networks? The young woman's fingers danced across her keyboard. Data flowed across multiple screens. I've mapped their entire system, General. The Coalition uses quantum entanglement communication between major worlds. Very advanced, very secure. Also very connected, meaning if I can get into one hub, I can access them all. But I need physical access to their primary communication station on Keth Prime. That's where I come in, said a new voice from the doorway. Captain Taman entered the room, still wearing his flight suit. He had just returned from a reconnaissance mission deep in Coalition space. Report, So Young ordered. Taman activated a holographic display. The Coalition main fleet is gathering at Keth Prime for what they're calling a victory celebration. Over 3,000 ships, including their flagship dreadnoughts. They're planning a parade before they come to destroy us. A parade, Commander Junho repeated. They're having a party before committing genocide. It gets better, Taman continued. Their outer defenses are minimal. They've pulled most of their patrol fleets back to participate in the celebration, and here's the best part. They're broadcasting the whole thing across Coalition space to show other species what happens when you defy them. General So Young leaned back in her chair. They're making the same mistake every bully makes. They think fear and spectacle are the same as strength. Dr. Yunbi's voice came through the communication system from Kepler Station. General, I've completed my analysis of Coalition military doctrine. It's worse than we thought. Worse how? Their entire military culture is based on honor and formal combat. When they destroyed those 12 species, it was because those species tried to fight them the same way. Fleet against fleet, honor against honor. The Coalition has never faced asymmetric warfare. Explain that in simple terms, So Young said. They don't know how to fight dirty. They've never dealt with terrorism, sabotage, or psychological warfare. Their soldiers are trained for formal battles, not guerrilla tactics. They expect their enemies to follow rules. Lieutenant Heywan looked up from her computers. General, that gives me an idea. What if we don't just attack their communication networks? What if we turn them into weapons? What do you mean? Every Coalition ship, every military base, every government building is connected to their communication system. If I can get control of that system, I can make their own technology work against them, turn off life support, overload power systems, even make their weapons target their own ships. Commander Junho whistled softly. That's not just dirty fighting. That's terrifying. The Coalition wants to see what humans can do when threatened, So Young said. Let's show them. Heywan, how long do you need to prepare your cyber attacks? Give me access to their primary hub and I can bring down their entire network in 6 hours. Taman, can you get her to Keth Prime? The young captain nodded. Silent thunder can slip past their defenses, but getting out again will be harder once their systems start failing. We'll worry about extraction later, So Young said. Junho, I need your people ready to activate the moment the Coalition's communications go down. How many sleeper agents do we have in position? 200 special operations soldiers scattered across Coalition space. Another 50 cyber warfare specialists, plus about 300 volunteers from the refugee ships. Volunteers? Junho's expression darkened. Colonists whose families were threatened by the Coalition ultimatum. They want revenge. I've been training them for the last 3 weeks, so... Young nodded. Good. When this starts, I want every Coalition military installation hit simultaneously. No warnings, no mercy. They threaten to wipe out our species. We respond in kind. What about their main fleet at Keth Prime? Taman asked. That's where Admiral Hun Ki comes in, So Young said. His orders are already en route. While they're celebrating their victory, he'll hit their secondary fleet positions. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll control half their territory. The room fell quiet as everyone absorbed the scope of the plan. Finally, Lieutenant Heywan spoke up. General, this isn't just a military operation. This is the complete destruction of their civilization. Yes, So Young said without hesitation. The Coalition chose to make this about extinction. They want to show the galaxy what happens when you defy them. Instead, we'll show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity. Colonel Sang-Woo pulled up intelligence reports on his tablet. General, there's something else. Our deep space monitors have detected Coalition probe ships near Saturn. They're mapping our defenses for their final attack. How many ships? 50 scout vessels. They're being very careful, staying at the edge of our sensor range. So Young smiled again. Perfect. Let them map our defenses. Let them think they know what we have. When they attack Earth, they'll find surprises waiting for them. What kind of surprises? Junho asked. The kind that explode, So Young said. Heywan, Do those probe ships have communication links back to the Coalition? Yes, General. Quantum entanglement transmitters. They're sending real-time data back to Keth Prime. Can you hack them? Eventually. But it would take time and they might detect the intrusion. Don't hack them. I have a better idea. Can you send false data through their transmitters? Haywan's eyes lit up. You want to feed them fake intelligence about our defenses? Exactly. Show them what they expect to see. A few defense platforms around Earth, some patrol ships, maybe a couple of old space stations. Make us look weak and unprepared. While our real defenses stay hidden, Taman said, understanding the plan. The Coalition thinks in terms of honor and formal combat, So Young explained. They'll come at Earth expecting a traditional space battle. Instead, they'll fly into the most deadly trap in human history. Commander Jun-Ho checked his watch. 24 days, 8 hours remaining. Time enough, So Young said. Jun-Ho, begin final preparations for Operation Ghost Storm. All sleeper agents go active in 72 hours. Taman, you and Haywan leave for Keth Prime in 48 hours. I want you in position before their celebration begins. What about the Coalition's ultimatum response? Colonel Sang-Woo asked. They'll expect some kind of official reply from Earth. So Young stood up, ending the meeting. We'll give them a response. 3 words. We decline. As the officers filed out of the war room, Dr. Yunbi's voice came through the speakers again. General, there's one more thing. I've been monitoring Coalition broadcasts. They're not just planning to destroy our military. They intend to make examples of human civilians. Public executions, destruction of Earth cities, complete cultural erasure. I know, So Young said quietly. They want to broadcast it across the galaxy. Show every other species what happens when you resist the Coalition. They will broadcast something, So Young agreed. But it won't be our destruction. It will be theirs. Alone in the war room, General So Young looked at the star maps one more time. Red markers showed Coalition positions. Blue markers showed human forces. To any observer, it looked hopeless. The Coalition had overwhelming numbers and superior technology, but the markers didn't show everything. They didn't show the ghost ships drifting silently through Coalition space. They didn't show the cyber weapons waiting to turn the Coalition's own technology against them. They didn't show the rage of a species that had survived every disaster their home planet could throw at them. Most importantly, they didn't show the one thing that made humans different from every other species the Coalition had destroyed. When humans were threatened with extinction, they didn't just fight back. They made sure the threat could never return. So Young opened a secure channel to Admiral Kim Dae-ho. Admiral, it's time to send our response to the Coalition ultimatum. What should I tell them, General? Tell them we received their message. The attack began at exactly midnight, Earth Standard Time. Across 17 star systems, Coalition military bases went dark all at once. Power grids failed. Communication networks crashed. Life support systems shut down without warning. In the first 30 seconds of the war, the Keth Coalition lost contact with half their territory. Lieutenant Haywan sat in the cramped electronics bay of the Silent Thunder, her fingers flying across multiple keyboards. Around her, screens showed the Coalition communication network dying like a poison tree. Each node that went offline triggered automatic shutdowns in connected systems. Beautiful, she whispered, watching the cascade failures spread through their network. Their own security protocols are doing our work for us. Captain Taman's voice came through the ship's communication system. Haywan, we need to go. Keth Prime's defense grid is powering up. They know something's wrong. 2 more minutes, she said, targeting the Coalition's primary military database. I'm downloading their complete fleet positions and command codes. On the bridge of the Silent Thunder, Taemin watched Coalition ships scrambling to respond to the crisis. Massive dreadnoughts that had been preparing for the victory parade were now trying to restore communication with their outlying bases. They had no idea that the chaos was just beginning. 60 seconds, Haywan, Taemin warned. A patrol ship is heading our way. Got it, Haywan said, disconnecting from the Coalition network. The whole system is ours now. Every military computer, every database, every communication relay. It's all running human code. The Silent Thunder vanished into hyperspace just as Coalition fighters arrived at their location. They found nothing but empty space and the dying screams of their communication network. 3,000 light-years away, Admiral Hyun-ki watched the first phase of the attack from the bridge of his flagship, Earth's Pride. Around him, the human fleet hung in space like hunting wolves. They had been waiting in the dark between star systems for this moment. Signal from Earth Command, Lieutenant Young-Soo reported. Operation Ghost Storm is active. All coalition communications are down. Excellent, Hyun-Ki said. Begin Phase 2. Target the supply convoys first. The human fleet split into hunting packs. Each group had a specific target. Coalition supply ships, isolated bases, patrol vessels caught far from help. The aliens had spread their forces thin to monitor human space. Now that decision would cost them everything. Captain Bo-Ram commanded the stealth carrier Ghost Protocol. Her ship carried 50 fighter craft, each one invisible to coalition sensors. Release the swarm, she ordered. Tiny fighters poured out of the Ghost Protocol like angry hornets. They spread across the Zeta Reticuli system, hunting coalition ships that couldn't call for help. The aliens found themselves fighting ghosts that struck without warning and vanished before they could respond. On the coalition mining world of Zerion 7, Commander Junho's special forces emerged from hiding. For 3 weeks they had posed as human refugees seeking shelter. The coalition guards had treated them with contempt, never suspecting they were trained killers. Remember, Junho told his team through encrypted communication, no military targets escape, but civilians are not to be harmed unless they resist. The attack on Zerion 7 lasted exactly 18 minutes. Coalition military installations were destroyed by precisely placed explosives. Their communication arrays were taken offline. Guard posts were overrun by soldiers who moved like shadows and struck like lightning. When it was over, the coalition military presence on Zerion 7 no longer existed. The human refugees who had been hiding in camps were now in control of the planet's defenses. Similar scenes played out across coalition space. On Thek trade stations, human cyber specialists took control of automated defense systems and turned them against coalition ships. On Zoran military bases, explosions destroyed fighter squadrons before they could launch. On Scarix warrior worlds, the proud alien fighters found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow their honor codes. But the real shock came when the coalition tried to regroup their forces. Fleet Admiral Velthar of the Keth High Command stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Eternal Glory. Around him, his officers worked frantically to restore communication with their scattered fleets. Report, he demanded. Sir, we've lost contact with 17 systems, his communication officer said. All military bases in sectors 7 through 12 are offline. We're receiving no response from patrol fleets in the Outer Rim. How is this possible? The humans were retreating. Unknown, sir. But it appears to be a coordinated attack. Belthar's scales turned darker with rage. Signal the victory fleet. We advance on Earth immediately. If the humans want to play tricks, we'll show them what real power looks like. But when the coalition tried to organize their attack, they discovered the true horror of fighting humans. Every order Velthar gave was intercepted by Haywan's cyber intrusion systems. Every tactical plan was analyzed and countered before the coalition could act. Worse, their own computers began displaying false information, showing human fleets where none existed and hiding real threats until it was too late. Sir, the navigation officer reported, our computers are showing conflicting data. Long-range sensors detect human ships in Sector 4, but Sector 4 was empty an hour ago. Check the sensors manually, Velthar ordered. I did, sir. The sensors show nothing, but the computer insists there's a full battle fleet heading our way. Velthar was learning the first rule of fighting humans. They don't just attack your ships. They attack your ability to think. While the coalition struggled with their compromised systems, Admiral Hyun-Ki's forces struck their secondary fleets like a hammer. The aliens were used to formal space battles between organized fleets. Instead, they faced coordinated attacks from multiple directions by ships that appeared and disappeared without warning. Captain Sujin piloted the heavy cruiser, Earth's wrath into the heart of a coalition supply convoy. Instead of engaging in a proper ship-to-ship battle, she used ramming attacks and suicide drones that the aliens couldn't understand or counter. This is not honorable combat. The coalition convoy commander broadcast on all frequencies. You fight without honor. Honor doesn't protect my people, Sujin replied as her ship's main guns tore through a coalition supply vessel. You threatened to wipe out our species. Now you'll learn what humans do to extinction threats. The battle for the Rigel shipyards became a masterpiece of human tactical thinking. Instead of attacking the massive facility directly, Human forces cut off its supply lines, disabled its defenses through cyber warfare, and then offered the alien workers a choice: surrender or be destroyed with the facility. Most surrendered. Those who didn't learned that humans could be both merciful and absolutely ruthless. When Colonel Min Jun's ground forces assaulted coalition military bases, they used tactics that horrified the honor-bound aliens. Urban warfare, guerrilla attacks, psychological operations designed to break enemy morale. The coalition had never faced soldiers who treated war as total destruction of the enemy's ability to fight. "They're not following the rules of civilized warfare," a captured Scarix commander complained to his human captors. "You're right," Colonel Min Jun replied. "We're not civilized when our species is threatened with extinction. We're survivors." By the end of the first day, the coalition had lost 30% of their military assets. But more importantly, they had lost something else: their confidence. For 1,000 years, the coalition had been the undisputed masters of their region of space. They fought formal wars against honor-bound opponents who followed predictable strategies. They had never faced an enemy that treated war as a problem to be solved rather than a contest to be won. On Keth Prime, the Coalition High Command met in emergency session. The victory celebration had been cancelled. The parade had been replaced by desperate planning sessions. "How many ships have we lost?" Supreme War Counselor Zektar demanded. "Uncertain," his intelligence chief replied. "Our communication networks are compromised. Ships are reporting phantom enemies and false targets. Some vessels have simply disappeared." "What about our main fleet?" "Intact, but our supporting elements have been devastated." "The humans are using tactics we've never encountered. They attack supply lines, communication centers, and isolated units. They don't seek honorable combat." Zektar's 4 eyes burned with rage. "Then we'll show them what dishonor brings. Order the main fleet to Earth. We'll destroy their homeworld and be done with this." But as the coalition prepared for their final assault, they didn't know that Earth was ready for them. Hidden weapons platforms surrounded the system. Stealth mines drifted in space like sleeping predators, and deep beneath Earth's surface, General So Young waited with weapons the coalition couldn't imagine. The aliens thought they were flying toward a weak, frightened planet. Instead, they were walking into the most deadly trap humans had ever built. Captain Taman brought the Silent Thunder back to human space, carrying data that would change everything. In his ship's memory banks were the complete coalition fleet positions, command codes, and tactical plans. "General So Young," he reported to Earth Command, "the coalition is sending their entire main fleet to Earth. 3,000 ships, including their heaviest dreadnoughts." The coalition fleet arrived at Earth like an unstoppable wall of death. 3,000 ships stretched across space in perfect formation, their weapons powered and ready. At their head flew the massive dreadnought Eternal Glory, flagship of Fleet Admiral Velthar. On Earth, every human watched the skies. In cities across the planet, people stood in the streets looking up at stars they could no longer see through the glow of alien engines. Children pressed against windows while their parents held them close. Everyone knew this was the moment that would decide humanity's future. But in the deep command bunkers beneath Earth's surface, General So Young was smiling. "Signal from the coalition fleet," reported Lieutenant Commander Dong Hyun from the communication station. "They're demanding immediate surrender." "Put it through," So Young ordered. Fleet Admiral Velthar's scaled face appeared on the main screen. His 4 eyes blazed with triumph and rage. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship bustled with activity. "Humans," Velthar began, his voice filled with contempt, "look upon your death. 3,000 ships of the Coalition's finest warriors surround your pathetic world. Your tricks in the outer systems were clever, but this is the end. Surrender now and some of your species may survive as slaves." So Young stepped forward so the alien could see her clearly. "Fleet Admiral Velthar, I am General So Young, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces. I have a message for you. Speak quickly, human. My patience grows thin. You came to our space and threatened to wipe out our entire species. You gave us 30 days to abandon everything we had built. You told us you had done this to 12 other races before us." "Yes," Velthar said proudly. "And like them, you will be erased from the galaxy." So Young's smile grew wider. "No, Admiral. You made a mistake. You threatened the wrong species. Now let me show you what humans do to extinction threats." She turned to her officers. "Activate the welcome mat. Across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms came online. Stealth mines that had been drifting silently through space for weeks began moving toward the Coalition fleet. On the surface of Earth's moon, massive railguns emerged from concealed positions, but the real surprise came from space itself. Dr. Ye Jin had spent 2 years developing humanity's most terrifying weapon: gravitational bombs. Devices that could create artificial black holes in space. She had placed 40 of them throughout the solar system, disguised as navigation beacons. Gravitational mines are active, she reported from her station. Coalition fleet is within the trap zone. Commander Dong Hyun activated his psychological warfare protocols. Suddenly, every screen on every Coalition ship began showing something that made their crews scream in terror. Recordings of their defeated comrades begging for mercy as human forces overran their bases. "What is this?" Felthar demanded, but his voice had lost its confidence. "Your soldiers' last words," Dong-hyun replied calmly. "We recorded everything. Every base that fell, every ship that surrendered, every warrior who died calling for help that never came." "Would you like to hear more?" The Coalition bridge filled with the sounds of alien voices crying out in fear and pain. These were the proud warriors who had boasted about destroying 12 species. Now they sounded like frightened children. "Turn it off!" Velthar shouted at his crew, but his own systems were no longer under his control. Lieutenant Haewon's cyber warfare programs had infected every Coalition computer. Their own technology was now a weapon pointed at their hearts. "I can't, sir," his communication officer replied. "The entire network is compromised. The humans control everything." As the Coalition fleet tried to respond to the psychological assault, the real attack began. The gravitational mines activated first. 40 artificial black holes appeared throughout the Coalition formation, each one pulling nearby ships into crushing death. Massive dreadnoughts that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were torn apart by forces they couldn't fight or understand. Evasive maneuvers. Velthar screamed, but it was too late. The Coalition had flown into a trap that had been years in the making. Railgun fire from Earth's moon reached across space at incredible speed. Kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed punched through Coalition shields like they were paper. Ships that had survived 1,000 battles died in seconds. Captain Boram's Ghost Protocol released its full complement of stealth fighters. But these weren't ordinary fighters. Each one carried a nanobotic warhead designed by Dr. Ye Jin to convert enemy ships into raw materials. Coalition vessels began dissolving from the inside out as their own metal was turned against them. "This is impossible," Velthar shouted as his fleet died around him. "This is not how civilized species fight wars." "You're right," General So-young replied. "This is how humans fight extinction wars. And Admiral, this is only the beginning." She nodded to Dr. Ye Jin, who activated the most horrifying weapon in Earth's arsenal. Throughout Coalition space, the human sleeper agents received a simple signal: activate Project Nightmare. On 47 Coalition worlds, captured military personnel who had been subjected to human neural reprogramming suddenly turned on their own forces. These weren't human spies. They were Coalition soldiers whose minds had been rewritten with human tactical thinking and complete loyalty to Earth. They looked like loyal Keth warriors or Scarix guards, but they thought like human special forces. The Coalition had never faced an enemy that could turn their own people into weapons. "Sir," Velthar's intelligence officer reported with a trembling voice, "we're receiving reports from across Coalition space. Our own forces are attacking each other. Military bases are being destroyed by their own guards. It's like our soldiers have gone insane." "Not insane," General So-young corrected through the communication link. "Improved. We gave them human strategic thinking. Now they understand that the Coalition is a threat that must be eliminated." As the space battle raged around Earth, the Coalition discovered the true horror of human warfare. Every advantage they had possessed was turned against them. Their superior numbers meant nothing when their own ships fired on each other. Their advanced technology was useless when humans controlled it. Captain Su-jin piloted Earth's Wrath directly into the heart of the Coalition formation. Instead of fighting ship-to-ship battles, she used ramming attacks and proximity explosions that destroyed multiple enemies at once. "This is Captain Su-jin to all Coalition vessels," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You came here to destroy our children. You threatened to erase our families. Now watch your fleet burn, and know that humans never forget a threat." Her ship's final action was to ram directly into the Coalition flagship Eternal Glory. The explosion could be seen from Mars. But Velthar survived the collision. Though his ship was crippled and burning, from his damaged bridge he sent one final transmission to his scattered forces. Retreat.
All ships retreat!
The humans are demons. They fight without honor, without mercy, without limits. No retreat, General So Young responded. No surrender. No survivors. The battle for Earth lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Coalition fleet no longer existed. Of 3,000 ships, fewer than 50 escaped to hyperspace. The rest were destroyed, captured, or converted into human vessels by nanobotic weapons. But the true terror came in the aftermath. As Coalition survivors tried to regroup at their remaining bases, they found only death waiting for them. Human forces had spent the battle systematically destroying every Coalition military installation in known space. The proud warriors who had ruled the galaxy for a millennium discovered they no longer had anywhere to run. "This is impossible," Velthar transmitted from his damaged ship. "We are the Keth Coalition. We have ruled for 1,000 years. We have destroyed civilizations. How can one species defeat us so completely?" General So Young appeared on his screen one final time. "Because, Admiral, you made the same mistake every bully makes. You thought fear and cruelty were the same as strength. You threatened a species that has spent its entire existence learning how to survive impossible odds." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You want to know how one species defeated you? We didn't fight your war, Admiral. We fought our war. And humans have been preparing for extinction threats since we learned to make fire." Velthar's transmission cut out as his ship's power finally failed. Across human space, the celebration was quiet and grim. They had won, but everyone understood what this victory meant. Humanity was no longer the peaceful species that explored the galaxy seeking friendship. They had become something else, something the galaxy would learn to fear. Dr. Yunbi's final report to Earth Command was simple. The Coalition threat has been eliminated. All military assets destroyed or captured. Civilian populations are under human protection. The galaxy now knows what happens when you threaten humanity with extinction. But she added one more note that would haunt Earth's leaders for years to come. "We won by becoming something we swore we'd never become again. The question now is whether we can remember how to be human." The war was over. The real test was just beginning. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy was a very different place. Admiral Hyun Ki stood on the bridge of the renamed station New Geneva, formerly the Coalition stronghold at Keth Prime. Through the viewport, he could see human ships patrolling space that had belonged to aliens for 1,000 years. The proud Keth homeworld now flew Earth's flag. "Status report," he ordered. "All former Coalition systems are secure," reported Captain Taman, who now served as his aide. "The last resistance pocket on Scarrick 7 surrendered this morning. General So Young's occupation forces are maintaining order across 43 star systems. Casualties? Minimal, sir. Most Coalition military personnel surrendered once they realized resistance was hopeless. The civilian populations have been cooperative under human protection." Hyun-Ki nodded. It still amazed him how completely the Coalition had collapsed. Once their military structure fell apart, their entire civilization crumbled like a house built on sand. Species that had dominated the galaxy for centuries now looked to humans for protection and guidance. "Signal from Earth Command," Lieutenant Young-Soo announced. "Ambassador Chin-sun is requesting a conference call with all sector commanders. Put her through." The elegant face of Ambassador Chin-sun appeared on the main screen. She was Earth's new representative to what remained of the galactic community. Her job was to explain to other alien species why humanity had done what it did, and what it meant for the future. Admiral Hyun-Ki, status report on the Keth integration program. "Proceeding smoothly, Ambassador. Former Coalition military officers are adapting to human command structure. Those who accept our methods are being retrained as auxiliary forces. Those who refuse are being relocated to civilian sectors." "And the war crimes trials?" Hyun-Ki's expression darkened. "Coalition leadership is being held accountable for genocide against 12 species. The evidence we recovered from their databases is overwhelming. Fleet Admiral Velthar and his high command will face execution for crimes against sentient life." "Good," Chin-sun said without hesitation. "The galaxy needs to understand that threatening extinction has consequences." Dr. Yunbi's voice joined the conference from her new position as Director of Xenocultural Affairs. Ambassador, I've completed my analysis of galactic reaction to our victory. 27 species have requested protection under human authority. 15 more have offered military alliance. Only 3 have expressed hostility. Which 3? Chin-sun asked. The Vecron Empire, the Stellar Confederacy, and the Free Worlds Alliance. They're concerned about human expansion and our methods of warfare. Let them be concerned, Admiral Hyun-ki said. Fear keeps the peace better than treaties. That's exactly the attitude we need to be careful about, Dr. Yunbi warned. We won this war by becoming more ruthless than our enemies. We can't let that become our permanent nature. General So-young's image joined the conference from her headquarters on occupied Zoran Prime. Dr. Yunbi raises valid concerns, but we can't ignore reality. The galaxy now knows that humans can and will eliminate extinction threats completely. That knowledge prevents wars more effectively than diplomacy ever could. What's the status of the integration programs? Ambassador Chin-sun asked. Former coalition species are adapting to human administration, So-young reported. The Keth are actually grateful. Their old government was oppressive and militaristic. Human rule gives them freedoms they never had. The Scarix were more resistant, but they respect strength. Once they understood that humans had defeated them completely, they accepted our authority. And the others? The Zoran are natural traders. They're happy to work with humans as long as it's profitable. The Thek are scholars. They find human technology and tactics fascinating. The smaller species are just relieved that the coalition's oppression is over. Commander Junho's image appeared next. His special forces had become the new sector police, maintaining order across human space. Ambassador, we're receiving intelligence reports about potential threats from outside our current territory. Species that heard about our victory and are planning preemptive strikes. How serious? Chin-sun asked. 3 different alliances are forming specifically to counter human expansion. They call themselves the Anti-Human Coalition. They think if they strike first, they can defeat us before we become too powerful. Admiral Hyun-ki laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. They still don't understand. It's not about power or expansion. It's about survival. Every species that threatens humanity faces the same choice: surrender or extinction. That's the problem, Dr. Yunbi said. We're becoming exactly what the original coalition was, a dominant power that rules through fear. No, General So-young corrected. The coalition ruled through cruelty and oppression. They destroyed species for sport. We only destroy threats to human survival. There's a difference. Is there? Dr. Yunbi asked. Look at what we've become. 6 months ago, we were explorers and traders. Now we control 43 star systems and rule over billions of aliens. How is that different from what the coalition did? Ambassador Chin-sun was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke carefully. Because we give our subjects choices. Coalition civilians under human protection have more rights and freedoms than they ever had under their old government. We don't destroy species unless they threaten our existence. The coalition destroyed them for refusing to submit. But we're still rulers instead of equals, Dr. Yunbi pointed out. Equality requires trust, Admiral Hyun-ki said. The galaxy chose to see humans as weak and easy to destroy. That choice has consequences. Until other species prove they can coexist with humanity without trying to wipe us out, we'll remain the dominant power. Lieutenant Haewon's image joined the conference from her position at the Galactic Communication Center. I have an update on the Anti-Human Coalition. They're planning to broadcast a message across the galaxy, calling for all species to unite against human expansion. Let them, General So-young said. It will save us time identifying future threats. What do you recommend? Ambassador Chin-sun asked. We send our own message, So-young replied. Something that makes our position clear to everyone. What kind of message? Admiral Hyun-ki smiled grimly. The same message we should have sent to the Keth Coalition at the beginning. We came in peace. You chose war. Learn from their mistake. 3 days later, every species in known space received a transmission from Earth. Ambassador Chin-sun's face appeared on screens across 1,000 worlds. People of the galaxy, she began. 6 months ago, the Keth Coalition threatened to wipe out humanity. They gave us 30 days to abandon our colonies and retreat to Earth. They promised to destroy our species completely if we refused. The transmission showed footage of the Coalition's ultimatum, followed by images of the war's aftermath. The Coalition is gone. Their military has been destroyed. Their leaders face justice for genocide against 12 innocent species. Their survivors live under human protection with more rights than they ever had before. The camera focused on Chin Sun's calm, determined face. We did not seek this war. We did not want to become a galactic power. We wanted to explore, to learn, to trade with our neighbors in peace. The coalition forced us to choose between submission and survival. We chose survival. Images appeared showing happy alien civilians in human-protected cities, former coalition soldiers serving in human auxiliary forces, and peaceful trade between species. Today, 43 star systems live under human protection. Their people are free to practice their cultures, worship their gods, and live their lives without fear of oppression. The only requirement is that they do not threaten other species with extinction. The tone of the message shifted, becoming harder. We know that some of you are planning to unite against humanity. You call yourselves the anti-human coalition. You think that by striking first you can defeat us before we become too powerful. Ambassador Chin Sun leaned forward, her eyes intense. You are making the same mistake the Keth coalition made. You think this is about power or conquest. It's not. It's about survival. Humanity will not be wiped out. We will not retreat. We will not submit to threats of extinction. If you choose peace, you will find humans to be generous allies and fair rulers. If you choose war, you will discover what the Keth coalition learned. Humans fight extinction wars with no limits and no mercy. The transmission ended with a simple message displayed across every screen. We came in peace. You choose what comes next. The galaxy's response was swift and decisive. Within 1 week, the anti-human coalition dissolved as member species withdrew their support. Within 1 month, 57 species had requested protection or alliance with humanity. The few remaining hostile powers watched human space from a distance, afraid to act, but unwilling to submit. They would cause problems in the future, but they would never again threaten humanity with extinction. Dr. Yunbi filed her final report on the transformation of human civilization. In 6 months, we have gone from peaceful explorers to galactic hegemon. We rule through a combination of mercy and terror, offering protection to those who submit and destruction to those who threaten us. Whether this makes us saviors or tyrants depends on your perspective. The important thing is that humanity survives, and the galaxy has learned a lesson that will prevent countless wars.